Yeah, look, this year's is been a little bit of an adjustment, but we're trying to get, number one, the priority is the weight room and making sure guys are having a chance to get in the best shape that they need to be in. And then as the schedules progressed, we've been able to really try to maximize their time with on-field individual fundamental work and then also classroom work, and kind of removing the team element for now away from it. So the schedule's worked out well. I know we call this week mini camp, and there's certain things that involves, and yet the schedule hasn't changed too much from what they were doing a week ago or 2 weeks ago or what they're doing this week.
So since this is the mini camp, this is still sort of mandatory, quote unquote, or not quote unquote?
No, this is mandatory. This 3-day window is, and we're 100% here in attendance.
And this will be the final week that you guys do anything this offseason before training camp?
Yeah, we'll have the rookies here still, and they'll go through what we typically do with them before we let them go. But yeah, this is we've had really good numbers relative to our guys working out. I've been real impressed with really most everyone. This rookie class has done a good job. We'll have a chance to evaluate it obviously a lot more and thoroughly once we start training camp.
Hey, Sean, was there anything you took away from Bill Parcells and how he handled a quarterback competition in the offseason and training camp with the Cowboys?
Yeah, look, it was different then, but, Bill used to say, and I think it holds true today, you pay attention to everything. You pay attention to just what you see without any predisposed thoughts. We'll try to do our best relative to the reps that we have during the training camp and during the preseason games, and then kind of go from there.
And Sean, how strange or how weird is it with Drew not being around? Does it feel different after all this time?
I don't look. I think there's not one specific thing. Periodically he's poked his head in the building. He's been in town for running some errands or doing some things maybe in a business manner, but there hasn't been that moment where, and I'm sure there will be, but there hasn't been that moment here in the off season necessarily.
Sean, I know that the league has a goal of, I think, 85% vaccination for players for the start of training camp. How much do you talk with your team about that? Do you think you'll get there, and just the importance of it?
Yeah, look, Bo and our training room, those guys have done a great job. We're, at 100% in the building with staff and coaches and personnel, tier 1 and 2. And we're real encouraged with our numbers relative to the team. I do think we'll get to the 85%, that number that we're hearing. So that's encouraging. But I think it hasn't been one big, team meeting or any one specific thing, but it's been more education, one-on-one time. And I think the guys in the training room, headed up by Bo and those guys have really done a great job.
Sean, I'm sure you saw that Jim Fossil passed away. Do you have any thoughts just from your time working with him?
Yeah, I kind of caught me off guard today. I think everyone, because of the nature of his death, and he gave me a great opportunity back in 1999 to be not only the quarterback coach, but then the year later to be the play caller and offensive coordinator. It's first time for me in this league, and that is something that you never forget. And he and I had a real good relationship. His son and obviously his other family members will carry on his legacy, but he made a big impact on a lot of people.
Sean, how tempted were you this offseason to try to be more normal with OTAs and mini camps, given, there's a quarterback battle and there's a lot of holes kind of along the roster as far as starting jobs and such that you haven't had in the past?
Yeah, listen, I like the roster, and I don't see as many holes maybe as others. There's certainly some positions that we're still working on. But we pay attention to the current climate, and then what are our objectives, and then what are we going to try to accomplish during the preseason? And it's real easy to keep turning the page, but I think last year was different, and we understood that this year will be a little different as well. But the key is just being ready when the season starts.
Sean, are you using this week for free agent auditions at all, or like tryouts or anything like that, like you might do in a mini setting?
We would have tryouts, but it wouldn't be auditions. It would be when you're not having team drills, you're not necessarily bringing in. So
Right.
It would be more on a one-on-one basis.
Sean, I know that Alvin said that this maybe non-traditional is more mentally challenging in the classroom because you all aren't on the practice field. Is that a good thing, maybe, since Drew isn't here and he was the person who kind of spoke the same language as you, to concentrate more on the classroom with guys like Alvin and everybody who's going to be maybe more of a leadership role on the offense?
Yeah, I don't think there's any benefit, plus or minus, relative to Drew being here or not being here. We'd be very much on this same schedule if Drew were here. These guys are throwing. I think Jameis and Taysom are doing a great job with the skill players, the running backs, the tight ends, the receivers. They're getting a lot of route work done. And each day the focus shifts a little bit. But again, most importantly, the guys are training. And when they pull up and park in the facility, they're coming to work on their bodies, and they're coming to work on their position fundamentals. And I think that so far that's gone well.
Sean, when you have two quarterbacks competing, is there any benefit to having one maybe win that battle earlier so you can start building around them, or is enough of the offense the same that it doesn't make much of a difference?
Yeah, both of these guys have been here now, so I think the key is getting as much of the work and evaluation reps that you can for both of them. That'll be a challenge, but we'll find a way to do it.
So what stood out to you most about Jameis Winston's approach this offseason, maybe even different than last year when he was taking it as a learning and getting the feel of things? Anything in particular that has impressed you about his attitude or approach? Yeah,
both those guys. When you talk about Jameis and Taysom, both of them are extremely hard workers. Both of them, are doing a great job leading, and they're working together, organizing the throwing sessions. And, I've talked before about the leadership in that room, and I think they're doing a really good job.
Sean, could you give us any insight into Dre Kirkpatrick's visit, and if you guys are planning on bringing in any more cornerbacks this week?
Yeah, we would only just report when we do, and I'd leave it at that. We've had a few players in for workouts. We'll list them, and we'll kind of go from there. But I'm not going to project who else might be coming.
Sean, you've spoken in the past about like the emphasis you guys put on development. How would you kind of assess that the development of that young receiver core kind of behind Mike Thomas? The guys coming up the last couple of years.
They're doing well. They're doing very well, and part of that was, a number of those guys played more snaps last year because of injury, and I'm encouraged. I like the way that room is coming together. There are a few guys that got more snaps a year ago because of some of our depth issues, and I think that's helped them.
I know the cap situation this offseason kind of prevented y'all from maybe going out and like signing a expensive player, but did their development kind of play a part in y'all, largely staying with what you had?
Yeah, look, I like the room. I like where we're at, and I like the guys that we have that are here on our roster.
Sean, obviously a lot of production needs to be replaced in terms of losing Trey Hendrickson along the defensive line. For a guy like Marcus Davenport in his 5th year, would it be fair to say the expectations are a little raised for him? And, what's the state of, the pass rushing group in general in your eyes?
I think it looks good. The addition of some of these younger players to the room have helped. Certainly Marcus will be healthy as we get started. Peyton's doing well training. We feel like that position group, we've added some depth, and certainly Trey played extremely well for us. And it won't be just one person. There'll be a series of players that pick up for some of that production. So, but we feel good about the direction we're moving at as a team relative to our defensive line.
Coach, how different will the offense have to be depending on who the quarterback might be? Or will they basically be doing much of the same things?
Yeah, I think to your point earlier, I think it could vary based on who the quarterback is. We've always tried to look closely at the strengths of our players, what they do well, and we'll build a little bit around that player accordingly. And that's something that we did when Drew first arrived here, and we would do with either of these two players.
How does that affect the off-season battle then? Do you almost call different plays depending on the quarterback that's taking the reps?
Yeah, look, there's certain things that you might do just specific to one or the other, and yet there's still an overall philosophical approach that these guys will have learned to play offense. But yeah, it's not a whole different game plan for each one of them. There's certain things that we would do maybe differently with each one, but we'll work that out.
Coach, does the 2 weeks between the last preseason game and the opener help you as far as making a decision there and kind of going into regular season mode and implementing what you want to do?
I don't know that it helps or hurts. It's just, it is what it is. It's the schedule change. It's unique this year. There's a few days required for the players to be off. And then, the plus would be an additional week to recover from any injury that took place. But we'll approach the 3rd preseason game just like we have in the past. We'll play a lot of players, so that won't become the new last one. That'll still be the 3rd one.
Sean, Zach Bond saying he's been kind of focusing on playing Will after playing a lot of Sam last year. What's kind of what would be the adjustment for him making the switch to that position?
I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
Zach Bond said he's kind of been focusing on playing Will after playing a lot of Sam last year. It's just what the biggest.
Well, look, they're different. Obviously, you're on the field a lot more if you're playing Will. With the amount of nickel the teams are playing, that we're playing. He's someone that has picked things up, and man, you came away from the season feeling real positive about what you started to see with a few of those guys. He's one of them, and so we feel like we've got added depth there. Certainly, we draft a linebacker in Pete, and we've got a number of players that we feel like can help us, and then also help us in the kicking game if they're not in a starting role. All right. Thank you, guys.